Hello, everyone. This is Duni from the Drew Academy. This is where we help people to boost their self awareness and their well being, especially after they've experienced a loss. Now, the last few weeks, we've been talking about how the process of grief happens and the things that affect your ability to take care of yourself. Last couple of weeks, we've focused on thoughts. Today, we're going to talk about self talk. Now, it's very important to understand where self talk comes from and also how it affects you. Brain coach Jim Quick says your brain is a supercomputer and your self talk is the program it runs. Now, many people know how computers run. They have a program, and a program is so important to the functioning of that computer. Now, if your brain runs on your self talk, that means your self talk is so important. Now, last week when we talked about thoughts and the impact of thoughts on your feelings and the way you perform, we talked about how having positive thoughts can empower you and negative thoughts can actually pull you down. And so, what is your self talk? Constantly, people talk to themselves. And it has been found that many people will not speak to their friends or family members in the same critical voice with which they speak to themselves. And so, at this point, we need to move back and look at how we talk to ourselves. What are the kind of languages we use? What kind of terminology do we address ourselves with? How do we describe our abilities to deal with a situation, to cope with something, or to even excel? Now, when you analyze your self talk, when you change your self talk from negative to more empowering talk, it changes your life. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So you can just imagine. You've said, I can do this. You definitely can do it. The moment you say, I can't do it, then it becomes a reality for you. So what's it going to be? Are you going to sit back and tell yourself you can't do it? Or are you going to get up and say, yes, I can? Right. So few things we need to be aware of. When we have this period of thoughts going through our mind, we talking to ourselves, there are a few changes we can make to the kind of language you use to talk to ourselves. One very important thing is one, to be present. Now, many people think about the past, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that because it's gone. Many people worry about the future. There's not much you can do about that because you're not yet there yet. However, you've got now. Many people are asked, how are you? And they think about what's happened and they dwell on the feelings of maybe a past mishap or a past problem. What we can do to help ourselves is look at now and say what you want now. There is a very famous phrase that was used by a lady who had an unfortunate situation where her son was unwell. And she did not know what to do, but she felt, well, I have to look for a solution. When she was asked, well, what's happening? Why are you getting things together? Are you traveling? What's going on? Do you know what her response was? It is well. Now, it is well that was present, but it looked like her world was falling apart. Her only son was about to die. I mean, it was more or less like a situation whereby it was desperate for her. But what did she say? She didn't say, "Oh, my world is tumbling apart. My son is going to." No, she went, "It is well," and what happened? It became well. So that simple attitude or outlook to a situation or an event can change the way we deal or handle situations. Another thing you can do is to use a word, yet. Yet is a three-letter word. However, it's a powerful word. When people ask you to do something, carry out a task, do this, you can say, even if you have to use cannot or will not, adding yet gives you a hope for being able to achieve that thing in the future. And when you say that out to yourself, your brain kind of goes, oh, right, oh, we're supposed to look into this. Sure, we'll look into it. So, for example, someone says, would you be able to get this thing done for me? If you're so busy and you feel like you're so overwhelmed, you can't get it done, oh, I can't, rather than just going all negative, I can't get to that yet. And you can decide to add something after that. But when you say I can't get to that yet, it gives the person a hope and also tells you that, well, you need to get to that at some point. Now, when you are asked about your ability to do something, you can't say, I don't have that skill yet. But what's going to happen? You're going to try to get it. So that second skill is very important. And sometimes swapping the words or swapping letters in the word can make a difference. I'll give you an example. You're feeling overwhelmed. You've got your work life, your family life, you've got lots of commitments. You have to pick up the kids, you have to do this and you have to do that. And you feel quite overwhelmed. Some people go, oh, I've got to get to school and pick the kids. I've got to get to work on time. I've got to get my assignment in. I've got to get that project done. I've got to put pressure on you. When you're saying things like that, it makes you feel overwhelmed as though if you don't have it done, there is some consequence. But imagine, what if you took the O in got and changed it to E as in get? I get to pick my children from school. I get to complete my project before the end of the day. I get to get that homework done. I get to work on time. That gives you a feeling that you have an opportunity to do these things. And when you say, I get to, your mind goes, ah, and then a bit of gratitude comes in. I'm alive and I'm well and I get to do this. That's just stretching it out a little bit. So trying something like that, or saying, oh, well, some people say, I've got a lot of problems. I've got an obstacle in my path. I've got so many issues. What if you changed it to, I've got some puzzles. I've got some, if you have a problem, if you're thinking of a problem and you think of it as a puzzle, it's something you want to solve. It's something that is intriguing as opposed to a problem that can weigh you down. So these little tips that you can use to change your language to help you improve your outlook helps your mind to come to terms with boosting you from a negative outlook to a more empowering outlook. And as we said in the beginning, your self talk is the program your brain is going to run. So if that's the case, let your brain run on a super program that will boost you to greatness, to well-being, to fullness of life. Now, I hope you found this video useful. And if you did find it useful, please let us know. Thumbs up and share with friends, people who you know would benefit from it. You can also subscribe. You hit the subscribe button. That's a fantastic idea. Okay. And we'll be back next week to talk about more tips that we can use to improve our well-being, even when going through difficult moments. Until then, this is Duni from Drew Academy. Stay well and have a great time. Bye.